I've been away for 3 weeks on a beach, getting brown. It's good to be back. But really, what is really nice about today is that we're going to welcome back somebody that used to sing quite regularly with us, and she used to live here. But she's back with us, and we're going to do a couple of songs today, one at the beginning and one at the end, that are very appropriate for St. Valentine's Day, which was 2 days ago. So please welcome Linda Jessen to sing Bésame Mucho.
Bésame, bésame mucho, como si fuera esta noche la última vez. Bésame, bésame mucho, que tengo miedo a perderte, perderte después. Quiero tenerte muy cerca, mirarme en tus ojos, vente junto a mí. Piensa que tal vez mañana yo ya esté lejos, muy lejos de ti. Bésame, bésame mucho, como si fuera esta noche la última vez. Bésame mucho. Aquí tengo miedo a perderte, perderte después. Quiero tenerte muy cerca, mirarme en tus ojos, vente junto a mí. Piensa que tal vez mañana yo ya esté lejos, muy lejos de ti. Bésame, bésame mucho, como si fuera esta noche la última vez. Bésame mucho. Aquí tengo miedo a perderte, perderte después. Hi, everybody.
That was great, Linda. Missed you. Good afternoon, everybody, and I got it right. I swore I wouldn't say good morning. My name is Heidi MacLennan, and I'm today's service associate. The Reverend Tim Boeve will be presenting our message this afternoon. Before we begin, I invite you to take a moment to put your phones in worship mode. In other words, I don't want to hear it ringing when he's speaking. Okay, we're all set. Here we are, gathered for another service designed to encourage us, deepen our relationships, and provide support for our respective journeys through life. May our experience here today, whether you are here in person or attending via Zoom, be meaningful and enriching, Though we come from a variety of backgrounds, our commonality as members and friends of this fellowship present us with this opportunity to deepen our bonds of affection with one another and strengthen our individual and collective resolve to make this world a better place for all beings. And with that, I want to welcome you to our LCUUF Sunday service. I'm happy to be here. If you're new and would like to receive the newsletter and other emails, please talk to a member of the welcome team or write to us at info@lcuuf.org. Would members of the welcome team please raise your hands so we can find you? Great, thank you. And now, a special welcome to our visitors. If you are visiting for the first time or have returned or reconnected with us after a long absence, we invite you to say your name and tell us where you're from. If you're on Zoom, please introduce yourself in the chat box and we will read aloud in the, it will be read aloud in the chat box, from the chat box. Barley's, I think, going to do that for us.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, obviously it's my first time. My name is Jean and I'm from Arizona in the U.S. I'm here visiting for the month of February. So,
welcome.
So I'm Devora. I'm not going to stand up. And I've brought my upstairs neighbor, Anna, to visit with us today. So I'm very pleased that Anna came.
Thank you. Hi. Yes, I'm Anna Dresden, and I'm from California, but I am moving here permanently, and I'm very glad to be here. Thank you.
I'm Barbara Hahn, and my husband Trenton Wan, and hi. We said we'd come back. We're from 6 months Durango, Colorado, and 6 months in San Carlos, Sonora, Mexico. And we are members of the UU Fellowship in Durango.
Welcome.
Hi, these are friends of ours from St. Catharines in Ontario. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hello, well, I'm close to St. Catharines, actually, Welland, it's southern Ontario near Niagara Falls. And I'm Penny Blake, and this is my husband.
I'm Roy, and I live the same place she does. And we're here for a week on vacation. We know the Mardell's from our congregation, Mardell and Fred from our congregation in St. Catharines. We're members there.
Hello, I'm Neil, and I'm from Evansville, Indiana, just here visiting for a few weeks. I have been in this area several times before, but my first time to visit the UU group here, so happy to be here.
Welcome. Wendy?
I'm Wendy. I'm from the Portland, Oregon area, and I've been here so many times that I didn't raise my hand.
But we're glad you did. Anyone else? Oh.
Hi, I have laryngitis. I hope you can understand me. I'm here with Larry and Dee Dee. I was here last year with Larry and Dee Dee. I'm from Beverly, Massachusetts, and it is snowing there right now. So I am so glad to be with all of you.
Hi, my name's Alicia Knox. I'm here, been living lakeside for the last year, originally from Vancouver, 13 years in Guatemala prior to coming here.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Do we have any visitors on Zoom this afternoon?
No, we have no visitors on Zoom today.
Okay. Welcome to all our visitors and newcomers, both in person and on Zoom. Here at LCUUF, we offer a wide variety of services on various topics presented by our members, outside guests, as well as our minister, the Reverend Matt Alspa. We hope you will return to sample this variety of thought and belief. Our chalice lighting each week reminds us of the light that is present in our midst. Not merely the light of the chalice candle that we can see, but also the light of consciousness and insight that lives in the words that are spoken here, the caring sentiments that are expressed, the music we hear, and the songs we sing. May the glow of these luminous expressions shine among us and within us today and always. Now, having lit our chalice, let us sing these words together. We
kindle this light in celebration for the life that we share.
This is the time in our service where we can briefly share our joys, our sorrows, our concerns, and our milestones, because there is power in the sharing as we hold each other in community. Just a sentence or two is enough. We will start with the folks in the room to give those on Zoom a chance to type joys and sorrows into the chat to be read aloud. As the mic is passed, please share your sorrows, whatever you or the world may be holding that is in need of our healing and caring thoughts, and or your joys, whatever you may be celebrating, whatever evokes a feeling of joy or peace for yourself or others. Are there any joys and or sorrows that you would like to share here in the room?
My name's Bob Coaches, and I'm just over the moon that my daughter Wendy is visiting me.
My name is Flo Rhodes, and my journey is such a mixture of bittersweet joys and sorrows that are too numerous to mention, but I'm sticking with the joys, and that's all.
I discovered again that Ahihik is my happy place, and I've just extended my stay till the end of March, and I'm able to do it. This is good.
I'm Susan Miller, and I'd like all of you to hold me and Dave and our extended family here in your hearts on Wednesday afternoon. We're having to put down a very elderly and frail and beloved Doberman.
Oh.
I'm Devora, and I'm realizing February is definitely the month of love, and I am loving that all of our snowbird friends are here.
I'm Adele, and I have a joy and a sorrow. The joy is that my dear friend Jean is visiting, And my sorrow is that a very good friend in North Carolina has stage 4 cancer and is in the process of dying as we speak.
Thanks to Devorah for saying that she likes us being here. We do too. Over the last few weeks, people have made an awful lot of sorrowful comments about things in the States politically. But one thing that I'm really joyous about, Trump's statements have really brought Canadians together. They're more united than they've ever been.
Well, I'm joyful here. I do like the snow up north sometimes, but we're getting an awful lot of it, and it's great to have a break from it. And I'm so happy to be here with the Harlans, who are really showing us a very good time. I'm very thankful for that, to have friends down here.
My name is Tom McClure. My sorrow first is for the destruction of the United States Agency for International Development and all the families, children, women that are dying as a result of this cessation of aid. My joy is that there's formulating a resistance movement against this destruction, and I wish them well and hope that the majority of the American people which believe in this assistance will come forth and defend this program.
For sure.
Hello, I'm Johannes Bjorner, and it's always a joy to be here and to see people that come back that haven't been here for a long time. It would be even larger joy if we could move the curtain so we can see all the background.
Move this now.
Well, I want to join both of you about the sorrow and the joy. It's very sad to see what is happening for women and for the whole country in the United States. Hopefully, things will change in a better way.
Hopefully.
At the same time, I had to say that Mexico have made a very, and Latin American, a turning point that is pretty remarkable. Our president woman are not retaliating, are not attacking, but it's allowed things to unfold properly. So it's the first time that Mexico really pay attention to the immigrants in the United States in a way that never had happened before. And it have a whole program to welcome them. So this whole unfolding taking place is pretty uncertain, and at the same time is bringing all kind of different responses, which I think that is how life moves.
My name's Janice Kimball, and my joy is being here today. I'm an original member of this fellowship, and I'm just very proud to be among you and associated with all of you. And I was just so lifted this morning when I came in and saw Fred and Mardell, because I didn't see them last time, and they look wonderful.
I must express a sadness. Charlie Jacobs is having a rather difficult time. He's back in the hospital in Ahahik. Doesn't look good. Your prayers, your thoughts, much appreciated. Thank you.
I'm Heidi, as you well know. I just want to say how happy I am to be here this morning amongst so many friends. I wasn't part of the original team, but I was sure here when it was a lot smaller. And it is absolutely delightful and wonderful to see so many folks and the people that started it here this morning. So thank you all for being part of my life. Now, are there any joys and sorrows that were shared on Zoom this
No, there
afternoon?
were not any joys or sorrows shared today.
None? Okay. And this candle from our care team, we light to represent the joys and sorrows spoken and witnessed today, as well as those we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. Let us take a moment of silence. As we know, the work of our fellowship within these walls and beyond takes our time, treasure, and talents. Now is the time in our service for our offering. As we pass the baskets, if you are new here today, or you are struggling to hold things together, please let the basket pass you by. Your presence is more than enough and is a gift to us. Pardon? Please know that we give all of the money collected at the service to an organization providing services to our lakeside community. For February, we will be donating the basket to Asociación Pro Mexico. The description is on the monitor. We take to heart these words by UU Minister Erica Hewitt. The offering that we take each Sunday isn't just a stale habit. It's an opportunity to recommit to this place and to this people. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With our gifts freely given, may we say yes to the values of our faith. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation. May this offering sustain and grow the life and work of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope for a better world. Our hymn is Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Is it working? Yeah. Physically. Peace, reconciliation, and happiness begin with you. It is wrong to think that if the other person does not change or improve, there are always, I'm sorry, then nothing can, can we back up, please? Okay. It is wrong to think that if the other person does not change or improve, then nothing can be improved. There are always ways to create more joy, peace, and harmony. And you have access to them. The way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you smile, the way you react. All this is very important. You must begin with this.
Thanks, Heidi. And greetings to all of you from front and center here. As you can tell, my voice is a little deeper than usual. I wish I could have sung along, Michael, but I was saving it so I can get through this message. But Kate is in the ready in case I start coughing. Just to assure you, I am not contagious at this point, just miserable. And by the way, those words that Heidi just read are not from Pema Chödrön, as the slide showed. They're from actually Thich Nhat Hanh, so if that matters to you. Well, most of you, if not all of you, have likely heard the dictum, an unexamined life is not worth living. These words are attributed to Socrates by his most famous pupil, Plato, penned in his book, The Apology. Now, those of you who were here on the very first Sunday of the year did a bit of life examination. Reverend Matt led us in an exercise of letting go of the past year and setting an objective of sorts, my words, not Matt's, objective of sorts for this current year. Now, I have completely forgotten what I let go of. and maybe that was, you did too, maybe that was the point, I think, because what we wrote on that magical piece of paper went up in a puff of smoke, if you remember. I do, however, remember what I wrote down on the other piece of paper that was handed to us that we wanted to see come to fruition in this year. It just so happens that I had been reading from Pema Chödrön's book, When Things Fall Apart, and perhaps even that morning had read this. In a chapter titled Not Causing Harm, she wrote this paragraph. Not causing harm requires staying awake. Part of being awake is slowing down enough to notice what we say and do. The more we witness, she goes on, our emotional chain reactions, bring that down just a bit, thanks Barley, our emotional chain reactions and understand how they work, the easier it is to refrain. It becomes a way of life to stay awake, slow down, and notice. These last few words are what I wrote on that piece of paper, and we were encouraged to take that piece of paper with us, and I did, and I still have it. Stay awake, slow down, and notice. These three instructions are what I want to talk about in part this afternoon. At the outset, I will say that I'm not talking about these things because I have them well practiced in my life. Rather, I'm talking about them because I want to impress them more deeply into my way of being in the world. Now, of course, I hope that these instructions not only make sense to you, but are also something that you might value for your own lives. Seems to me that Pema Chödrön is far from being alone in suggesting that these ideas become a way of life. I bet you can finish this sentence: stop, look, and listen before you cross the street. Right, we probably heard that in kindergarten somewhere back in the day. Early lessons in stopping and noticing. And didn't we all hear or learn early on in our lives as well the admonition to stop and smell the roses? No doubt many of you are well practiced in doing just this. Well, whether that is your consistent practice or not, may what we consider here together in these next few minutes deepen each of our individual and our collective desire to practice this sage advice. It's important, I think, that Chödrön's advice is embedded in the chapter in her book that I mentioned. The chapter title is Not Causing Harm. As she put it, not causing harm requires staying awake. Now, we are certainly, as has already been articulated this morning, living in a world full of harm, and it seems like it's growing daily. Now, we know that harm comes in many forms, much of which we have absolutely no control over: ravaging fires, earthquakes, blinding snowstorms, and the like, birth defects, childhood trauma, and so on. So it's important that we bear in mind that what we are talking about today is what we do have control over. In other words, let's not cause further harm to what's already out there, either to ourselves or to others, by what we think, say, or do. I'm reminded just at this moment, hold on just a sec here, Barley, moving the screen. I don't like to be moralistic, but that could come across a little bit like that, and I certainly do not intend that. Rather, let this message be an invitation. How's that sound? Rather than me pointing the finger thinking that you have to do something that you may not be already doing. How's that, Mark? Is that better? Okay, enough for an apology. Now, it may seem an easy thing to do to not cause further harm, but personally, I have not found this to be so, especially in my thought life. I told you before in one of my presentations of my background coming up in a very restrictive, religious, Calvinistic, sin-focused, dominant culture, patriarchal, all those things that you folks in the UU, and I'm glad to be among you now, have turned a corner from. However, if you did happen to grow up in one of those sort of situations, as I did, boy, thoughts of judgment, they're just like, they're just there. They're just there. I don't know, does that happen with Jewish people too, Dee Dee? Does it? Yeah. Well, anyway, therein lies the struggle. I'm way off the script, Barley. How you doing back there? Excuse me. Warm water. So I've been able to pinpoint the cause, right, of my perpetual judgmental thinking. And I've been aware of it now for some time. And I'd like to say that I'm over it, but that's not the case. I do work on it. regularly. And so these words by Pema that I picked out for you have come along at just the right time, because, man, I'm at that point in my life, I just don't want to add any more harm to this world. Man, there's plenty enough, right? We all know that. And, you know, I know our thoughts are hidden. You can't tell what I'm thinking about any more than I can tell what you're thinking about. But there is a sense that even our thoughts, I'm looking at my friend John Millen, he would agree with this, they have energy, they go out into the world, and do not they cause that kind of harm. Now, Barley, good luck, because I was totally off script there. So I'll just wing it for a bit, all right? So Pema's idea, and she is just a brilliant, brilliant Buddhist teacher. If you're not familiar with her, I highly recommend her books. Her idea is that we just need to become more mindful. Easier said than done, right? I mean, I can go through days without remembering a conscious thought. Thank goodness I've begun to tie conscious thinking to doing the dishes. That is to say, when I'm doing the dishes, I tend to be as present as I possibly can be to that task and not be out in my mind, just letting it run and run and run. Because when that happens, I get some of those thoughts that can be irritated by circumstances, especially today. So her idea is to practice mindfulness. Now, you have heard this before. Reverend Matt, bless his heart, leads us in meditation exercises regularly in this place. Why? I haven't ever asked him, but I bet his idea is this: to help us all learn how important it is to deepen our thoughts and to notice the subtleties of things. Thanks, Barley. If I don't get back on track, we could be here for hours. Now, Pema has written that if we, thank right there, we can become blind to our individual ways of perceiving the world around us. The knee-jerk aspersions we silently cast upon others who don't meet our approval in a given circumstance, or becoming irritated when things don't go the way we think they should. We habitualize ways of thinking that we may not even be aware of. She says, only through being present with gentleness and kindness toward ourselves, as she recommends, can we begin to break the habits of mind that do not serve us or others. Let me again quote from Chödrön's words about this business of noticing when we cause harm. It's painful, she writes, to face how we harm others, and it takes a while. It's a journey that happens because of our commitment to gentleness and honesty, our commitment to staying awake and being mindful. Because of mindfulness, we see our desires and our aggression, our jealousy and our ignorance, she writes. We don't act on them, we just see them. Without mindfulness, we don't see them. End of quote. So, it seems that mindfulness is a necessary step for noticing what we think about, noticing our emotional stance, noticing our state of mind. And I like that Pema says that this noticing is best done not only with honesty, about our thoughts, emotions, and so on, but also with gentleness, gentleness toward ourselves. See, if every time we have a harsh, condemning judgment arising within us, and then we turn against ourselves for having that judgment, what are we doing? We're just perpetuating more of the same. So learning to have, is it possible for someone like a Calvinist, but is it possible to learn to have a lighthearted, kind attitude towards ourselves? I think it is. Someone's smiling back there. And I think that could be the best takeaway from this message today. There's so much unkindness in the world today, and we shouldn't direct that to ourselves, for sure. So bring that with you today. Now, when we begin to steep ourselves in mindfulness and the noticing that comes with it, we may find ourselves not only moving away from harmful ways of thinking about ourselves and others, but in time we can begin to be aware of the more subtle aspects of life that put us in touch with deeper realities, realities that spiritual teachers and mystics speak of, the miracles that Devorah talked about last Sunday, the preciousness and even beauty of each moment, or as Eckhart Tolle writes and speaks of, the power inherent in the now, in each present moment. So with that framework, we're going to go to part 2 now of this message, and really what you guys already talked about in the joys and sorrows times about what's going on in the world, that's what I want to talk a little bit about now. And it may seem incongruous with what I just said, but I don't think so. I think what we need to be doing is building in our own lives so we can stand strong against the harm that is happening. Now, one of the ways I do this myself is to try to stay informed. I sometimes don't like to stay informed, but here's how I do it, and maybe this will work for you as well. We've been talking about this ever since the new administration took over in Washington. So each morning, even well before this, as part of my morning routine, I read the column from Heather Cox Richardson. I know some of you are also fans. Heidi reads and Dee Devorah. There are hands going up all over the place. Should I just stop this sermon right now? I read her to stay informed. Now, for those of you who don't know, and thank you, Fred, for talking earlier about Canada, because this really, she's writing letters to America. I don't know if these go to Canada or not. But they do. But anyway, I'm glad you guys are becoming united as a result of what's going on. For those who don't know Heather Cox Richardson, she writes this column, Letters from an American. Every morning you can get it. She began it back in 2019. She now has 1 million subscribers. She's a professor at Boston College and teaches history there. She's written 7 books. She's quite well known, I guess. She's been laser focused lately on what's been going on in Washington. And probably like you, sometimes you leave that column feeling a bit overwhelmed, if not depressed. But still, it's important that we stay informed. Now, the reason I'm bringing her up is because she is facing the harm that's going on, but she's not adding to it. You will never see Heather Cox Richardson make a personal attack. Even against the worst atrocities she's writing about, she doesn't make it personal. Excuse me. Whatever I'm on is giving me a very dry mouth, but at least I'm not coughing. For what it's worth, by the way, she's not affiliated with any political party. She considers herself a Lincoln Republican, and maybe there's just a handful of those still around. She's got no axe to grind, only considering it important to our democratic ideals to speak the truth and keep us informed. Sometimes she'll write about other things, historical events, people who've done great things in history, and those are always wonderful columns to read. One of these days, in fact, maybe even this afternoon when I go home, I am going to forward one of her columns, today's is a good one for it, to some of my family members back in Michigan who are getting only filtered news from sources who don't care about democracy and don't care about tolerance. But because my family are in the devout Christian camp, there's another video that I'm going to show in just a minute that might be more forceful, because the person speaking, James Tallarico, I showed him here before, if you might recall. He is a member of the Texas State House. He is a devout Christian. And like Heather Cox Richardson, he doesn't cause harm, he doesn't make personal attacks, he does name names, as you'll see, but he does it in a most charitable fashion. So here we go with this little video clip from James Tallarico.
The people at the top, the Elon Musks, the Rupert Murdochs, the Donald Trumps of the world, spend so much energy, so much time keeping us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their power. It's the oldest strategy in the world, divide and conquer. And it's why love has always been a threat to the powers that be. Loving our neighbors allows us to listen to each other, learn from each other, and ultimately come together to take power back for ourselves and our communities. This is easier said than done, but it's the only way out. Don't give up on our neighbors. That's the work of democracy. That's the work of peace.
So James Tallarico is studying to be a Presbyterian minister, and no doubt he will make a fine pastor, I think. He's become quite a hero to me, the way he blends his faith with his political convictions, and he's, in my opinion, on the right side of just like we are here. And it's my hope that he takes a page from Raphael Warnock. You all know Raphael Warnock, the Baptist minister from Ebenezer Baptist, who is a state senator in Georgia, and that Tallarico will stay in politics even if he fills a pulpit. And so that's my hope for him. I bring up both of these examples just to illustrate that rather than being overcome by the harm in the world, there are ways to face it. And thank God for those politicians who are, and we need more of them to do so. Reading her columns, listening to Tallarico, makes me wonder what we here at Lakeside can do to address the harm to democracy that is taking place. Did you see the picture a week ago, Guadalajara reporter down in the corner of a handful of people, maybe 10, who were standing up with placards in solidarity, Norris mentioned the immigrants earlier, solidarity with the Mexican immigrants from the United States. I don't know the politics so much of this congregation, whether or not we sponsor marches. Somebody said yesterday, yes, we have in the past. I'm not on the board, but I tell you what, if we did sponsor a march on behalf of democracy, I would certainly want to be part of it. So it's just a thought I'm throwing out there, my friends. Addressing the harm that is happening in our world, but not furthering it. This is the better way for us. Staying awake, slowing down, and noticing what we think about, what we say, and what we do. Each of us has the ability, and I believe the shared values, to build peace in our world and avoid causing added harm. Avoid causing added harm. This is the better way, and so may it be.
Thank you. Something to think about. Our closing hymn is "We Celebrate the Web of Life." Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing.
Speaking on behalf of the worship or service team, thank you. That's a pretty decent hymn, Michael, and we should learn that. And I think it actually fits with the theme of the noticing, you know, what's in this world around us, right? Now, these words from meditation teacher Joan Tollefson, wherein she describes in my mind what may result for us in being awake and deeply noticing. There is a great stillness at the heart of things, an aliveness, a presence. This openness is what we are. I'm not speaking here of philosophy or belief, but something we can and do know directly. Silence and transparency are the ever-present here now, the spaciousness that is closer than close, most intimate, inseparable from all that appears. This aware presence is borderless, limitless, all-pervading, all-inclusive, and yet empty of anything that can be grasped. This is never absent, but it may go unnoticed. What do we have to lose, my friends, by seeking to stay awake, slowing down, and noticing?
Let us extinguish our chalice with these words which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world.
Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one above you? Fill my heart with gladness, take away my sadness. Ease my troubles, that's what you do. Oh, the morning sun in all its glory greets the day with hope and comfort too. You fill my heart with laughter, you can make it better. Ease my troubles, that's what you do. There's a love that's divine, and it's yours and it's mine like the sun. At the end of the day, we should give thanks and pray to the one. There's a love that's divine, and it's yours and it's mine like the sun. At the end of the day, we should give thanks and pray to the one. Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one above you? Fill my heart with gladness, take away my sadness. Ease my troubles, that's what you do. Fill my heart with gladness, take away my sadness. Ease my troubles, that's what you do.
Oh, Linda, that was beautiful. Thank you. Our worship is over. Our service begins. Go in peace and with a purpose.